So, guys, turns out I was wrong. Donald Trump is not going to be inaugurated tomorrow, January 20th. But neither is Joe Biden.
Welcome to Paul's Coffee Club. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I got another caught on camera segment. I usually try to avoid the political stuff, but I had to say something about these Trump supporters. I think most of these people I'm about to talk about are those QAnon people. It's disturbing what I saw, and I have to give credit where credit is due. I saw this on Hassan Piker's channel. There's a female on Twitter. Her name is Caitlin, at Hello Caitlin. I don't know anything about her. Like I said, I got this from Hassan Piker. But she did kind of a compilation of Trump supporters on some kind of service called Clapper. I've never heard of that before, but I thought it was very interesting. Let me go ahead and play a few of these, and I'll make some comments about it as we go along. Here's the first guy, and I'm pretty sure this guy's QAnon. His name is at Redneck Trumper.
Well, this is that moment when all the Trump supporters that had faith, or at least said they had faith, are drowning in their tears right now. But those who still have actual faith are relaxed, calm, chilling, because they know that there's nothing that can stop what's coming. Let me tell you, people, Biden is never going to be the president of our country. Just because he just swore in does not make him officially. There are documents that have to be signed first. All this means right now is that there is no acting president, because the transfer of power is in the midst and taking place right now. Right now, the military is in control. Just sit back and watch and be patient.
What the hell? This is after inauguration. Okay, I'm assuming this guy's QAnon because QAnon is this conspiracy group on the internet. They think that the Democrats are all pedophiles and into satanic worship, and they traffic in children and they eat children, and they think Trump for some reason is the guy that's going to end all of this. And supposedly Biden's inauguration was all part of the plan. I guess the plan was, and their theories about what's going to happen changes day to day. I guess after the Capitol riot, that was actually a false flag to put the military in place for the Democrats, so that Trump was going to pretend to really go to Florida and actually still stick around Washington, D.C. And then once Biden was sworn in, the military was supposed to immediately take over, because all the Democrats you see are in this one place, so they could get them all at once. That was the whole theory. So you saw a lot of QAnon people going crazy when nothing happened at the inauguration. So, and you know, they've been moving the goalposts since the election. You know, every milestone that we had, they would say, well, okay, it's going to happen on this day. You know, when they certified the election and the electors, they said it was going to be on that day. I think that was in November. Then they said it was going to be on January 6th. And of course, there was something happening on January 6th, but it wasn't they call this theory the storm. The storm did not happen. So it did not happen on the inauguration. So now this guy is saying he's still not president because some documents have to be signed. What documents is this guy talking about? I'm pretty sure that in the Constitution it only says, in fact, I don't even think the president has to take the oath necessarily. I think come noon on January 20th, he automatically becomes president whether he takes the oath or not. The oath is pretty much like a formality. He becomes the president at noon. I think that's all the Constitution After the votes have been certified and counted, he is president on that date. So I don't know what this guy's talking about with, oh, there's some documents that got to be signed and the military's really in control. Now, this was several days ago. Well, actually, it was actually 4 days ago. So I guess this guy is still waiting, but I've been trying to judge whether these people actually believe their own bullshit. And I really do think this guy believes this. Okay, well, let's go. Let me not go too deep on this one video. Let's look at a couple more.
For everyone who watched President Trump's farewell speech, I hope you listened very carefully to what he was saying. But I also hope you were paying attention to the background. If you look at the flags that were behind him, you will have noticed the gold fringe on them. You better get your popcorn ready, because it's about to be one hell of a movie that you're about to see. Good night, everyone. Sleep tight, because you're going to need it.
Clapper.
What? Okay, let me just stop it. Let me just read what it says above her head. Why are American flag? I can't read it because it's kind of obscured. Why do American flags have gold fringe? The gold fringe flag is a clear sign of a system being in place that is not the system we are taught to believe is in place. Okay. A gold fringe flag was historically used during times of war in maritime admiralty law, which we are in now as well. This woman looks like she's mentally ill. Sounds like she's mentally ill. Okay, let's move on, because I don't even know where to begin with the... And that's another thing about these QAnon people. They take the most asinine little details and think it's a sign of something. A lot of QAnon people were saying that Trump was speaking to them because he kept talking about the influenza epidemic that happened in 1918, but he was saying 1917. They said because he was saying 17 instead of 18, that was a signal to them, because Q is like, I think, the 17th letter in the alphabet. And really, the reason Trump is saying 1917 is because he's a moron. Of course, they think he's a genius, but whatever. Let's move on.
Okay, so I want to put this out here for especially the liberals who keep calling Trump supporters like they're in a cult. You guys are in a cult. You're following Trump. It's the 45 cult. You do realize that free thinkers cannot be in a cult. They're not in a cult. If you're in a cult, you're just listening to everything that's told to you and believe everything that's said to you instead of doing the research. So think about that. You're in the cult. You're in the cult because you just believe everything that's fed to you on the news.
Okay, so we're in a cult because we trust the news, and yet she's on message boards on the internet with this QAnon conspiracy. Because that's another thing they do in QAnon. They tell you to do your own research, which is why they keep moving goalposts and whatnot, because no one actually knows anything. They're actually trying to reinterpret stuff on the fly. I don't know what to say to that. It sounds like you're in a cult because you believe dumb stuff that continues not to happen. And I think they're now moving the goalpost up to March and April. Okay, let's move on.
So, guys, turns out I was wrong. Donald Trump is not going to be inaugurated tomorrow, January 20th. But neither is Joe Biden. So, I guess it all starts in 1871. because that's how long it's been since this has actually been a country. Apparently, we've been a corporation owned by the City of London. This is how far back this goes. We actually haven't been a country, guys. All intel says that Pelosi, Biden, Harris, Pence, all of them are going to be picked up. And when the inauguration comes around, there'll be nobody ratified by the Senate to take the seat. Therefore, the contract with the City of London is null and void. This, in fact, is why the military is as dense as they are in D.C., because they will take custody of the United States. That's why all along this coast, from there to there, and all along this coast, from there to there, our Navy is lined up. You can see them as far as the horizon goes. From north all the way to south, there is naval ships. That's why all in this region right here, there's so many aircraft, it's like you can't even see through it when you look at the radar. That's why the military is standing up all across this region. They will take control tomorrow. And then all the evidence of the fraud will show that Trump won overwhelmingly. And then probably, from what I've heard, in March, he will be the 19th president of the United States. The last time we had an actual president of this country was Ulysses S. Grant. Of course, he was the 18th president. So Trump will be the 19th president of the United States. Now I can hear you.
Okay, that lady was right. These people are free thinkers. But I just want to know, just because you're a free thinker does not mean you're not a moron. What is this guy even talking about? Well, what is this obsession with maritime law? And we're a corporation with the City of London? What the hell? The last president was Grant? It would be more comforting to me if this guy was barking like a dog at the end of that explanation, because he looks so normal. He looks just like some people I work with, for God's sake. And I work with a lot of rednecks here in South Carolina, but these guys, man, I don't. These people are morons.
I guess shouldn't have expected anything else from this country. The military is a fucking weak-ass country. We can't even hardly beat a little ragtag fucking outfit like fucking Afghanistan. We was over there for fucking, I don't know, 10 years or better and didn't accomplish nothing. Got our asses handed to us. Same with Iraq. Same with Iran. This country's a fucking joke and the people in it's a joke. And Donald Trump is a fucking bitch that is a joke right with him. Fucking weak-ass, pathetic. Man, about 30 years ago, they should have killed every fucking baby that was born for the last 30 years, because they're nothing but fucking weak little fucking spineless fucking trash. And it ain't just the young ones. The older motherfuckers are a bunch of coward bitches too. Nobody will stand up. There will not be one person stand up and do a fucking thing in this country. They'll sit back and they'll take this shit. This is the shit that Pence and Trump and Biden and Harris shoved down our throat. And they're 4 peas in a fucking pod.
Okay, just to clarify, we haven't been in Afghanistan for 10 years. It's more like 19 years, I think. We went there in 2001, right? So this guy can't even do proper math, and he's calling everybody else. Well, he's saying we're weak and pathetic, but okay, but you can't do math, dude. Simple math. I'm not saying I'm good at math either, but I can figure out how long we've been in Afghanistan. It's not that hard. Okay, so He thinks what is being shoved down our throat though? What are these people's problem? What are they so upset about? Okay, anyway.
January 19th, I'm done hearing about this 11-hour shit. Nobody's been pardoned. No receipts have been dropped. Obamagate did not get declassified. Unless he takes over with military force tonight, it's crystal clear that we've been grifted. And not only have we been grifted, he was in on this. And my thinking behind all of it is he was the way that these fuckers could use. He was the way to gun confiscation. He identified any dissenters. All of his rhetoric, all of the fucking pushing and hold the line, all of that narrative, he knew it would amp us up. Look at the 6th. That was clearly a trap. It wasn't a trap for any other reason than to justify taking the Second Amendment. It's already happening with the First Amendment. I want you guys to think about this. With everything that's gone on in the past year, and with what's happened with the Capitol and how they're pushing that narrative, if you were from the outside looking in, it would be a pretty good argument to start confiscating guns. They're smart enough to know that they can't fully take over this country without taking our guns. And some people might ask, well, why the charade? Well, I'll tell you, this entire 4-year charade was simply to identify all of us who they perceived as somebody who would be a dissenter. And that paves the way to taking our guns. It's really as simple as that. I don't know what else to make of it. But it's crystal clear to me that Trump isn't going to drop any fucking receipts. There's not going to be any fucking 11th hour bullshit. Julian Assange hasn't even been pardoned.
Okay, well, this guy, he's not a complete nut, but what is with these Republicans and their guns, man? Every freaking time a Democrat comes into office, they go crazy about their guns. And let me ask a serious question. Does anybody want these morons to have more guns? These are the last people I want to see have a gun. I'm just being honest here. Some conspiracy nut who might shoot his mailman because he works for the government. I do not want these people having guns. I will admit that. But they just can't accept. They think Trump is in on some conspiracy. He's just a moron. He's a moron that got $400 million from his dad and still couldn't make his businesses work. These people really think he was that guy on The Apprentice. They don't realize that was a freaking reality TV show. It's not real. It's not really reality just because they say it's reality. And I don't, they really do think they can overthrow the government. The government that has tanks and helicopters like the Apache with Hellfire missiles and F-16s and what is that new one? F-35 or something? F-22s. You really think you're going to overthrow the U.S. military with your little semi-automatic hunting rifle? Even the AR-15s aren't fully automatic. I mean, I guess that's what they're kind of mad about, the fact that they're not fully automatic. But these people really think they're going to overthrow the government with all the hardware. Now, they might be able to, I could conceivably overthrow the government, but they would have to have the cooperation of the military. This is not going to be to these militias to overthrow the government. Okay. Random raw thoughts. Sounds kind of nasty.
Go exactly as we thought they would, did they? I don't know what you thought or expected, but I wanted to see. I wanted to see it happen on live TV. I wanted to see him go down, right? You want them to, because it's surreal to think that the election fraud and everything that's going on is so blatantly obvious, and yet they're seemingly getting away with it, right? It doesn't feel real. It's almost unimaginable. I mean, it is unimaginable. But then I got to thinking afterward, because I was so pissed watching it all. It was just making me angry. But then I dug into chatting with other people and looking at some things and looking at some posts and stuff like that. And it made me start to realize that just because the inauguration went through doesn't necessarily mean it's over. It was complete. The steal, the treason, complete, done. And all those other people that now have participated in it. Only time will tell. Who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe Q is, I don't know, fucked up. Maybe it's a complete psyop. I don't know. But I know this. I know there are too many dots that have connected. There are too many things that have taken place. As it's been said, how many coincidences have to happen before something becomes mathematically impossible? And then you have to stop and you have to think, all those troops, all that military equipment, the way it's set up with all the fencing and the barbed wire, all of the ships off the California coast, the troops mobilized from other states heading there, all for a virtual inauguration. I mean, we all saw the same thing on television. There weren't that many people there that would warrant that. So the question you have to ask is why? What's really going on right now? What has gone on? And what?
Dude, it's very simple. They have all that military there because you guys stormed the Capitol. It wouldn't be it like that if y'all hadn't done that. What is this stuff about these boats? They keep saying boats off the coast. What are they talking about? And he said it doesn't seem real. Well, maybe it's because it's not real. It's all in your head, dude. There was no election fraud. And you know, the very few instances of fraud were from Republicans.
I am sorry to all of the people that held on and had false hope. I just didn't want people to feel hopeless, and I really had faith that this was gonna turn in our favor. I never believed that God was gonna allow the evil to take over again. I don't understand why. I don't understand why God would put President Trump in the White House to do so many good things, to reveal all of the evilness that was in the world that most of us, a lot of us, didn't know the extent of until he pulled the curtains back. And now we just have to live with it. I don't know why. I don't know why God put the people that kill babies in hate and want to live their lives completely opposite of his word. Why they succeed in a lie, and why the people that serve him and live their life as best as they can by his law continue to suffer. And now the left is going to say that we're the snowflakes and we're the ones having meltdowns. But it's so different because they were upset because they thought their right to kill their children was going to be taken, and their right to cut their dicks off was going to be taken. We are upset because our lives, our freedoms, everything that we knew for the last 4 years is going to be undone. And everything that was evil, that was exposed, is going to be swept under the...
Okay. Here is a good example of why you shouldn't put religion and politics together. I don't understand why and why do they believe that Trump in particular was put into the presidency by God? He's such an immoral person. He's always been an immoral person. And you know why I know that for sure? When he said something like 2 Corinthians. Anybody who's been growing up with religious background knows it's pronounced 2 Corinthians. He said 2 Corinthians because you know why? He's never cracked open a Bible in his life. The guy has been divorced 3 times. He's cheated on every one of his wives. And that's not conjecture. That is a fact. Why do they put so much stock in Trump? I don't understand. And I'm pretty sure he was for abortion before he started to run for president. But these people think he's, and what, I just don't understand, man. It feels like to me she's one of these, the only reason she's a Republican, because Republican values really don't line up with Christian values in any way possible. They worship rich people, and Jesus famously did not worship rich people. He said something like it'd be easier for a rich person to thread a camel through a needle or something. I forget how it goes. It's been a while since I read the Bible, but yeah, Jesus put down rich people and said it would be extremely hard for them to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And yet, for some reason, Republicans just worship rich people. Capitalism on a whole has more in common with evolution and the theory of evolution than it does Christianity. If you think about it, socialism has more in common with Christianity than capitalism. Capitalism works on the survival of the fittest principle, right? So why do Christians love capitalism so much? It doesn't make any sense. But I mean, I don't understand. I still, once again, I'm asking, what rights are being taken away? That your right to discriminate against gay people, that's the right that is going to be taken away from you? That seems kind of backwards. Your right to take away someone else's rights. That is not making a lot of sense. And I like the little Caitlin points out there's a legit crisis of faith happening for a lot of QAnon followers right now. Someone commented on this video, I'm truly questioning if God exists at this point. How many millions and millions of us prayed and prayed with nothing answered? And this woman responded, me too. And my question would be for this woman, when Jesus was on earth, according to how they believe, the Bible doesn't say anything about God getting involved in the politics of that day with the Romans. So what is this belief that God gets involved with politics and favors one country over another? And think about all these Christian countries that went to war and killed each other. World War II. The Germans were Christians. The Americans were Christians. The Italians were Christians, saying, yeah, they were killing each other. So who did God favor in that war? Man, they just keep going on and on and on. I think she added some since I last looked at this. I'm not recognizing what in the world kind of makeup is she wearing? Pancake makeup?
Okay, guys, so it's going to get creepier. You ready? Rh negative blood, the rarest blood type in the world. 15% of the world's population have it. Just 15%. But the majority of our presidents have had it. And it's so weird because through genealogy, you find out that the majority of these people are actually freaking related. So, did you know that Obama is actually related to Sarah Palin somehow through genealogy? And whenever you put all these people together, you realize that except for Rover, they all have one common denominator. King John. That is right. They're all related to King John somehow. The same King John that signed the Magna Carta. So, is it possible that this royal bloodline has been in power this whole freaking time? But wait, the rabbit hole goes deeper.
Okay, moving on. I think that was actually somebody taking a piss, as they say, the British say. Oh, this guy. This guy is funny.
All right, check it out. No hate, just facts. So the first day in office, the first person Joe Biden fired was a black man. The Surgeon General. What did he do so wrong to you, Joe Biden? Answer me that question. And then y'all call Donald Trump a racist. Wow. You stole the election, Joe. You stole the election, sleepy, creepy Joe. And now you're letting your racist side show. You say that you want to unite this country. Stop racism. But the first person you fire is a black man. Don't look too good on you, Joe. Jesus forever. Rig 2020.
He couldn't have been serious. Come on, he didn't look crazy. First of all, do I have to really say it? His vice president is a black woman. They just confirmed a black man. I think it was the first black man ever for Secretary of Defense, I think it is. They just confirmed a black man for that position. Furthermore, Biden was the vice president to the first black president in history. And just so we're keeping score, Trump also fired the Surgeon General. I don't even remember who the guy was. That happens a lot with presidents. They just fire everybody to get their own people in there. So it has nothing to do with race. My God, these people. Let me. I gotta read the comments on this video. Let's see what people are saying. He didn't actually fire him. He asked him to resign, and he did. You can do a lot better than an anesthesiologist for a Surgeon General anyway. Oh, is that really? I didn't know that. They don't know shit about population health or things that affect people in this country. I don't know. Anesthesiologists, they go through the same training, I think, as other doctors. And this guy just made the same point I made. Didn't he also hire black men to the Department of Defense? Wasn't the first woman he hired a black woman? Yes. Wasn't his former boss a black man? Checkmate, libs. Funny how racists pretend not to understand the mechanics of racism. Intent, power structures, consent, and critical thinking are all rocket science for them. I kind of feel like he was joking. Had to be. Although there's another right-wing guy on Twitter. I used to just read his stuff every day because he kept saying Biden wasn't going to be president. And I would kind of just hate watching his Twitter feed. And he said, I think he said the same thing. Why did Biden just fire a black guy? And it's like these guys, they're like playing. They're only capable of one-dimensional thinking. So I think that was the last one. But boy, these people need help. They need hobbies. They need hobbies that don't cause them to try to overthrow the government. You know, just stock car racing or whatever. Something. Get a bike. I don't know. Get a Peloton. Just stay off the internet. You obviously don't have the brain power for it. I just want to make one more point about this election steal business. These Trump supporters, they were so convinced that Trump was popular and that he could not lose. And you have to remember, he barely won the first time. He got paired against, or the Democrats put up, one of the most unpopular women or politicians ever, Hillary Clinton. To give you an idea how unpopular she was, my wife didn't even vote for her. My wife is super liberal. A lot of women hated her. And I've come to the conclusion, women just hate other women, especially ones in power. So really, if you're a woman and you want to become president, you got to really win over the men. And Hillary was never going to be the one to do that. Second point I make is, even after he won the election, he was never popular. And you can look it up. You can look it up on the internet. If you're QAnon and you're watching this, look up United States presidential approval rating. Trump's approval rating never got above 49. Okay? Obama's highest approval rating was 67. George W. Bush, right after 9/11, was 90. Just to give you a comparison, Clinton's was 73. George H.W. Bush was 89. Reagan, 71. I mean, come on. Carter, 74. No one in the last, 40 years, 50 years, has had an approval rating as low as Trump. So, and another thing, I see a lot of even liberals making this mistake. A lot of liberals are saying Trump would have got reelected if it wasn't for COVID. That's not true. If you go back and look at the numbers were pretty consistent all the way up to the election. If you go back and look in February, right before the pandemic got really bad, and where we had some hope that Trump was going to actually do the right thing, Trump was matched up against all the Democrats that were running. Elizabeth Warren, Biden, Bernie Sanders, and consistently, and I wish I had brought up this webpage, but you can look it up. Every one of those Democrats were outpolling him by, I think, 7 to 10 points. He was never going to win. And that gap he never really closed that gap. And especially after COVID got really bad, he didn't close that gap. I think it got up to 10 points with Biden. I think reasonably the only Democrat he had a chance of beating was Elizabeth Warren, because I think if you look at the mashups back then, she had the narrowest gap with Trump. So he was never popular. A lot of people that voted for him in 2016 had instant buyer's remorse. Probably, in fact, they did a focus group recently, and they like interviewed Republicans, and I forget where I read this. I think it was USA Today, but in fact, I read this on actually I got the link for this on a conservative website. They did a focus group with a bunch of Republicans who voted for Biden, and most of them said that they regretted voting for Trump almost immediately because he never got presidential. And he was insulting people on Twitter and just doing all those things that presidents shouldn't do. So he was never going to win without those swing voters. And like I said, they were hating him before COVID. So it had nothing to do with COVID. But that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it. I don't like to get in politics. It's just not my cup of tea. There's a bunch of people that do a lot better than I could ever do it. So I'm just going to leave it in their worthy hands. Because there's some people that actually went to school for political science. I did not. But yeah, that's all I got. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give me a like. Comment down below. Let me know what how you feel about all this. I know it's kind of shocking to most reasonable people. And ring that bell if you're already a subscriber so you know when my next video drop. And I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.